you think you could survive a blind veteran hunting you in his house? Maybe you could outrun some underground doppelgangers. Okay, but what about escaping a biblical apocalypse in Jerusalem? Well, after watching thousands of horror films, I found a ton of horror movie monsters where you're absolutely dead, no matter how built different you think you actually are. And the most terrifying one, it's not even what you're gonna be expecting. But before I ruin your survival fantasies, hit subscribe or you might end up like that guy who commented, "Not me," on The Night House. Spoiler alert, he's dead now. For legal reasons, that's a joke. But please like and subscribe. Now let's start with the first one on our list, and trust me, it gets so much worse as we go along, because we're starting with something you probably think you could handle, a simple game of truth or dare. I can already see you typing, "Just don't play the game, dummy." Well, genius, let's see how this works out for you. Truth or dare isn't your average sleepover game where the worst thing that happens is revealing your middle school crush. This supernatural version comes with a demon named Kalax, who makes your toxic ex look well adjusted. And no, blocking their number isn't an option this time. Think about it, you're dealing with an entity that can force you to answer any truth or complete any dare. And before you say, "I just lie," the demon literally knows everything about you. It's like having your browsing history read aloud at a family dinner, except the consequences are slightly more fatal. For real though, if that happened to me, I probably would never see my family again. They don't want to know what I've been searching up. I can still hear you saying though, "I would just refuse to play." My brother in Christ, that's like telling the IRS you're refusing to pay your taxes. The demon doesn't need your consent here. It's already got your soul on a binding contract the moment you learn about the game. You can run to another country, change your name, live in a bunker, doesn't matter. This thing has better tracking than your mom when you missed curfew in high school. The dares start simple enough. Maybe steal something, break something, hurt someone's feelings, but they quickly escalate to, "Hey, why don't you jump off that building?" Or, "Wouldn't it be fun to play Operation on your best friend?" And hearing that, you may be thinking, the truths are going to be way easier then, right? Because they're not actually going to make me do anything. Well, they're designed to destroy every relationship you've ever had. It's like Twitter drama, but with actual death instead of your career just being over. And the real kicker, the rules aren't even consistent. The demon changes them whenever it wants, just like a D&D player with a god complex. You think you'd figure out a loophole? Surprise, there's another dare for you, and this one involves a wood chipper. Guess what happens? But demons forcing you to play party games is the least of your worries, because I'm going to tell you about the most elaborate escape room that you're ever gonna do. Now add death traps in, psychological torture, and a shadowy organization. Basically, you aren't surviving escape room. And we're talking about the good movie, not the bad one, because that one sucked. This one's good. I can already hear those people typing, "But I'm really good at puzzles." That's adorable, Kevin. But while you're busy feeling proud about figuring out that basic math problem, the room's already filled with upside down rain that's actually acid. Oh, and hope you know American Sign Language, because that's randomly crucial to surviving one room. Wait, you didn't learn ASL for your escape room hobby? Sounds like a you problem. Guess what? You're dead. GG, go again. The worst part though, Minos is watching. Who the f is Minos? Well, Minos is taking notes like the world's most sadistic Yelp reviewer. They're not testing your escape abilities. They're studying how you die. It's like a twisted job interview where the only severance package is your package getting severed. You get it? And let's talk about that time pressure. Regular escape rooms give you about an hour. These rooms give you exactly enough time to almost survive. Miss one clue and suddenly you're playing human Tetris with a wall of spikes. Take too long solving a puzzle and the room becomes a giant easy bake oven with you as the main course. Also, why did we have those as children? Who thought giving children an oven was a good idea? Because I think a lot of them ended up in house fires. Anyways, if you think escape rooms are rough, I invite you to think about dangerous blind people. Didn't know they existed? Well, let's talk about Don't Breathe. Meet Norman Nordstrom, a blind veteran who makes Daredevil look like an amateur. Because while you're busy feeling clever about tiptoeing around his house, he's already counted your heartbeats, mapped your location by smell, and calculated exactly how many steps it'll take to reach you. Spoiler alert, it's not many. Remember that time you stubbed your toe trying to get a midnight snack? Now imagine doing that while playing the world's deadliest game of Marco Polo with someone who's turned their entire house into a death maze. This man has memorized every creaky floorboard, every corner, and every possible hiding spot. It's his world. You're just dying in it. I just stay completely quiet. Cute, because this guy can literally hear your anxiety sweating. While you're holding your breath thinking you're ninja level stealthy, he's already figured out your location from the sound your polyester pants make when you walk. That's right, your poor fashion choices will literally get get you killed in this movie. And don't even think about fighting back. This isn't some fragile old man. He's a combat-trained veteran who bench presses grief and deadlifts trauma. You think you're tough because you did a self-defense class at the Y? Well, he's been training his remaining senses since before you learned to walk. The only thing your karate lessons prepared you for is falling correctly when he throws you through a wall. The real nightmare though, his house is basically a giant mousetrap, except the mouse is you and there's no fucking cheese for you. Every room is a potential dead end. Every door could lock behind you, and every window, well, let's just say he's really good at home security. But if you think being haunted by a superhuman blind man is terrifying, wait until you meet what's lurking in the night house, because sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's trying to kill you. It's realizing that nothing itself wants to kill you. Imagine fighting something that isn't just invisible. It literally is nothingness itself. While you're busy checking behind doors and under your bed like a rookie, this entity is laughing in a void. It's like trying to punch a shadow, except the shadow is punching back and it's got a PhD in psychological warfare. I just leave the house. Right, because running away from nothing works so well. This entity doesn't just haunt a house. It haunts the spaces between spaces. Those weird gaps in your peripheral vision, that's its living room. That empty feeling in your chest at 3 a.m., that's its doorbell. The worst part, this thing turns architecture into optical illusions that would make MC Escher need anxiety medication. You think you're walking into your kitchen? Surprise! You're actually stepping into a void that's been waiting to introduce itself. Your house becomes a funhouse mirror maze, except nothing's reflecting what you expect and everything reflects what you fear. Here's where it gets really messed up though. This entity doesn't just want to kill you. It wants to make you understand why you should want to die. That doesn't make any sense, but hear me out. It's like having an existential crisis with teeth. While you're busy setting up your sage and all your witchcraft stuff to try to save yourself, this thing is literally rearranging reality to make emptiness look inviting. And don't even get me started on the mirrors. You know how you avoid looking in mirrors at night? This thing makes that seem like solid life advice. Every reflection becomes a window into nothing, and nothing is very interested in having you over for dinner permanently. But if you think an entity made of nothing is bad, I'm here to tell you that it can get much, much worse, because this is a big trigger warning. Eden Lake is a messed up movie, and what makes it so messed up is teenagers, and that is not even a joke. You know those kids these days comments your aunt always posts on Facebook? Well, Eden Lake makes those look optimistic. We're not talking about teenagers playing their music too loud or shouting at random squirrels they find on the street. We're dealing with sociopaths whose idea of fun makes Lord of the Flies look like a summer camp brochure. Just reason with them. Oh, dude, you are screwed. These aren't misunderstood youth who need a heart-to-heart about their feelings. While you're trying to channel your inner guidance counselor, they're already playing rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets your car keys. And trust me, that's going to be the least of your problems in a couple minutes. Think you can outrun them in their own backwoods playground? That's adorable. These kids know every trail, every shortcut, and every dead end. It's like playing hide and seek with wolves who have GPS, and you're not hiding, you're just postponing the inevitable. But here's the real kick in the teeth: the parents. Remember how in every other horror movie, adults are useless? Well, in Eden Lake, they're worse than useless. They're actively part of the problem. Imagine running to the police for help, only to find out that the chief's kid is your main tormentor. It's like trying to report a crime to the criminal's family reunion. And let's talk about your survival skills. Sure, you went camping that one time in 2019. Maybe even have one of those survival bracelets you bought off of Amazon. But while you're trying to remember which moss grows on the north side of trees, these kids are hunting you down with the efficiency of a search algorithm powered by pure hatred. But I'm here to tell you that it gets much, much worse, because teenagers are going to be the least of your worries. Be My Cat. This is a film that scarred me. Meet Adrian, a filmmaker who makes your most pretentious film school classmate look well adjusted. While you're thinking, great, another creepy director, he's already planning how to turn you into his masterpiece. Literally. This isn't just another exposure for pay scam. It's more like exposure until you stop breathing. If you're here thinking I'd spot the warning signs immediately, sure. Just like you spotted all those phishing emails in your spam folder. Adrian doesn't show up twirling a mustache wearing a warning, actually a murderer t-shirt. He presents himself as every other passionate indie director with a dream. A little bit crazy, but ultimately looks kind of harmless. It's just that his dream involves making Anne Hathaway notice him through increasingly homicidal methods. I don't know why this would impress a woman, but I don't think you can reason with these people anyways. The scariest part, he documents everything. Imagine a serial killer who's also a YouTuber. That's basically Adrian's whole vibe. While you're trying to nail that perfect take, he's treating your performance like a snuff film director's cut. And trust me, there will be no blooper reel. Think your acting skills can save you? That's cute. This guy has studied made more footage of Anne Hathaway than her own agent. He knows exactly what to say, how to act, and what buttons to push to keep you in frame. It's like having a director who's memorized the manipulation handbook and decided to add some murder improv. And the real horror of this movie, the way everything feels almost normal until it's suddenly irreversibly not. One minute you're doing a screen test, the next you're realizing that the method acting exercise he's proposed is actually just straight up torture. And good luck calling your agent. Reception is surprisingly bad in murder basements. But do you think a deranged filmmaker is terrifying? Wait and see what happens when an entire community decides you're their next sacrifice, because Jugface is about to make your small town family drama look like a sitcom. Welcome to Backwoods, America's most exclusive cult, where the local potter isn't just making vases for your mom's book club. He's crafting your death warrant in clay. And this time, you can't just unlike and unfollow to escape. The pit demands what the pit demands. And honey, it just demanded your whole existence. I would just leave the community. Right, because running away from your problems works so well with your student loans. This isn't some Facebook group that you can just ghost. It's an ancient entity that makes your clingy ex look positively reasonable. The pit doesn't just want you. It's got your whole family tree on speed dial. Think your small town was gossipy? This place makes Mean Girls look like a support group, except instead of spreading rumors, they're spreading the word about whose face just showed up on today's pottery special. And trust me, this is one art show you don't want to be featured in. Here's where it gets spicy. The pit doesn't just kill you. It makes sure everyone knows you tried to dodge its friend request. While you're planning your great escape, it's already sending out save the dates for your sacrifice. Got a cold? That's the pit. Stubbed your toe? The pit. Your crops failing? Oh, you better believe that's the pit. And let's talk about that community support. These folks make HOA boards look flexible. Try explaining to grandma why you don't want to be sacrificed to an ancient hole in the ground. She's already picked out her sacrifice watching outfit, and she didn't raise no pit disappointing grandchild. Let's start with Deadstream, where this genius decides to live stream himself spending the night in a haunted house. And before you say, I just leave when the first ghost shows up, my brother in Christ, this man literally can't leave because he's worried about his viewer count. Imagine your last words being, don't forget to smash that like button, and then you get axe murdered by a ghost. But here's why you would be absolutely screwed. First, we've got Mildred Pratt, a ghost who's been perfecting her jump scares since before your grandparents were born. You think you're tough because you've watched all of Paranormal Activity without flinching? Cool. Mildred can possess objects, summon an army of ghouls, and turn your own streaming setup against you. Second, you're trapped in Death Manor, a house that's basically been marinating in evil for decades. Every room is a potential death trap, and I don't mean that in like a fun escape room kind of vibe. But here's the real kicker. Mildred doesn't just want to kill you. She wants to turn you into content. She's basically a kick clip farmer, except just a little bit more demonic, but not too far, because have you seen some of their content? It's pretty fucked up. Imagine being possessed and then you turn into a viral clip as bad as Jack Doherty crashing his Lamborghini. Yeah, that's a pretty bad fate. But if you think dying for views is bad, wait until these YouTubers decide to explore an underwater haunted house. Spoiler alert, it's not just the water pressure that's gonna crush you down there. The Deep House takes everything terrifying about haunted houses and adds water, because apparently regular ghosts weren't wet enough. Two YouTubers decide to explore a submerged house in France, proving that content creators will literally die before getting a real job. I would know. I am one. Now I know what you're thinking. Just swim away. Sure, genius. Let me break down why that big brain energy isn't saving you. First off, you're underwater with limited oxygen. That's like playing a horror game with a stamina bar, except when it runs out, you actually die. And no amount of scuba certification you got that one time you went on a vacation in Cancun, yeah, that's not gonna help you here. But wait, it gets better. The house belongs to the Montanak family. I think that's how you say that, but tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Basically, that's Satan's favorite house flippers. These lovely folks were into child sacrifice and dark rituals before TikTok made that cool. Now, they live in an underwater haunted house, and they're not interested in selling. Now, the house itself is a maze of death. Imagine being trapped in an escape room, except it's flooding. The walls are literally closing in, and oh yeah, every wrong turn means you're burning precious oxygen. That's assuming the undead family doesn't get you first. They've had decades to perfect their underwater jump scares, and let me tell you, they're not just gonna pop out and say boo. Although that would be pretty fucking scary. I would be terrified and shit my pants. And for all you experienced divers out there feeling cocky, these ghosts don't care about your perfect buoyancy control or your 5-star fucking diving rating thing you got on that one Airbnb trip with your girlfriend that you no longer talk to because she cheated on you with your cousin. The Montanaks can possess you faster than you can say decompression sickness. Imagine becoming a ghost puppet while wearing full scuba gear. That's not just death. That's embarrassing. The cherry on top, every survival instinct you have is working against you. Panic? You fucking fucking die. Swim too fast, you fucking die. Try to hold your breath, believe it or not, you fucking die. It's like the world's worst swimming lesson, taught by murderous ghost children instead though. Speaking of everything turning against you though, let's talk about Unfriended, where hitting unfriend becomes a matter of life and death. Basically, Unfriended takes your fear of getting tagged in unflattering photos and cranks it up to homicidal. Remember Laura Barnes? Me neither, but she's like that friend who got way too invested in your group chat drama. Except now that she's dead and she has admin privileges over your entire Facebook account. Just turn off your computer. Yeah, that's like saying you can stop cyberbullying by just turning off your computer. Oh wait. Anyways, yeah, because that worked out so well when you tried to quit social media last time. Basically, Laura's ghost has better tech skills than you have. She's basically Mark Zuckerberg with a vendetta and is evil. Wait, these jokes are getting a little too meta, I feel. Like, we need to talk. Is the world okay? Think about it though. She can access every embarrassing selfie, every cringy DM you sent to that girl at 3 a.m., and every Google search history that you thought you deleted. That would be terrifying. So the real nightmare, you can't log out, you can't shut down, and you definitely can't call your mom. Laura's turned your online life into the world's deadliest group project, and everyone's getting a failing grade permanently. But here's where it gets personal. Laura doesn't just want to kill you. She wants to expose every single digital skeleton in your closet first. All those messages you sent trash talking about your best friends, those questionable photos you swore you deleted, the playlist full of nothing but Baby Shark remixes. Yeah, it's all coming out. Death by embarrassment is just the appetizer at this supper. And for all you I don't even use social media people out there, first of all, you're watching this video on YouTube. So I think you're lying. Second, Laura's got more ways to reach you than your mom trying to tell you about a Facebook post you saw with a minion in it. Mom, they're not fucking funny. Please stop. Your printer, your smart fridge, even your Ring doorbell. They're all just weapons in her arsenal now. But the worst part, your entire death is going to be live streamed, and the comment section will be debating whether it's fake or not, and probably full of hate comments because the internet sucks. They'll be mean to you just for existing. Like, I get I'm butt ass ugly, but you don't have to be mean to me in the comment sections just for existing. What did I do to you? Basically, you're going to be ratioed until you're dead, which is pretty embarrassing. But do you think a vengeful digital ghost is scary? Wait until you meet someone who's been documenting their son's descent into darkness. And now that sounds really poetic and spooky, but it's pretty bad. Mom, not your mom, not my mom, but like Mother of Monsters, that's the name of the movie. It basically takes your typical, he's just going through a phase teenager and turns it into a psychological nightmare. Abby's convinced that her son Jacob is planning something horrific, so she turns their house into the world's most depressing reality TV show. Spoiler alert, this isn't going to end with a heartwarming Dr. Phil episode. Now, before you start typing, I could take a teenager, let me stop you right there, tough guy. Jacob isn't your average, I hate homework and I hate my life because my dad took my Xbox teenager. He's what happens when Kevin McAllister grows up wrong and decides Home Alone was actually a horror tutorial. Basically, this kid is fucked up, and that's the real terror. You can't just ground him or take away his phone. Jacob's playing 4D chess while everyone is playing fucking Candy Crush. He knows exactly how to appear normal to others while making his mom look like she's the crazy one. It's like gaslighting, except that you downloaded the DLC for gaslighting, just like my ex-wife Becky did. Why did you do that? Why did you take the kids? Think about it. You're trapped in a house with someone who's systematically destroying your sanity. Every normal teenage outburst could be genuine angst or carefully calculated manipulation. Is that door you swear you locked actually unlocked, or is he just messing with you? Did your keys really go missing, or are you going crazy? It's like living in a true crime documentary, except you're the person viewers will later say they should have seen the signs. Can you imagine being in a true crime documentary and you become the embarrassing one? Like, let's say you have a story, it goes viral on like a Netflix documentary or something, and everyone says, bro, you are so dumb. How did you not see this coming? Again, that's like getting post-mortem ratioed, and you didn't even do anything wrong. You just had a natural inclination to trust people, just like I do. Hopefully this isn't my fate. Anyways, here's the kicker. Nobody believes Abby. The authorities think that she's paranoid. The family thinks that she's overreacting, and social media would probably just turn it into another Karen meme. You're completely alone with someone who's either seriously disturbed or just really committed to winning worst son of the year. Either way, it sounds like hell. Like, if you want kids, don't watch this movie. Because if you watch this movie, you're going to be booking a vasectomy like in 5 minutes. This is terrifying. The scariest part of this movie isn't even the violence. It's the waiting. Knowing something's wrong, but having to act normal. Like you're starring in the world's most stressful improv show. And your only audience, someone someone who's taking notes on your every weakness. But if psychological warfare with your own kids sounds rough, wait until you meet some Yahtzees who make family drama look like a picnic. Just to be careful with YouTube, I'm gonna say Yahtzee, like the board game, but you know what I mean, because this movie is a little messed up, so this is just a warning right now. I'm not actually talking about Yahtzee, but you're smart enough to understand the context, because Green Room is about to redefine the worst band gig ever. Basically, this movie takes your worst work story ever and cranks it up to, oh god, oh fuck no. A punk band walks into a Yahtzee bar. That sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? Well, the punchline is murder, and nobody's laughing, except maybe Patrick Stewart, who's having way too much fun playing the world's scariest skinhead leader. Just fight your way out, my brother in Christ. This isn't your high school parking lot scrap. These aren't your standard I've learned to fight from YouTube tough guys. We're talking about a highly organized group of Yahtzee fans who've turned murder into literally business. Your one karate class from 2019 isn't going to cut it. Let's break down why you're absolutely done for. First off, you're dealing with Darcy Banker, a man who runs his hate group like it's a Fortune 500 company. Imagine if your most ruthless corporate manager decided to trade their spreadsheets for machetes. That's Darcy. He's not just gonna kill you, he's gonna optimize the process and save on his business expenses. You're trapped in their home base, outnumbered, outgunned, and their attack dogs make Cujo look like a chihuahua in a sweater vest. The closest thing to backup you've got is your band's Twitter followers. But guess what? You're not a popular band. You have 50. They're not gonna help you. But here's the real kick in the teeth. These guys are patient. They're not just gonna run in all stormtrooper style with bad aim. They'll wait you out, pick you off one by one, and probably file the paperwork afterwards. And the cherry on top, your punk rock attitude and DIY spirit aren't gonna save you here. Throwing a mic stand isn't quite the same as facing down a bunch of killers who've turned their venue into a slaughterhouse. This isn't a mosh pit, it's a meat grinder. But if organized Yahtzee fans seem bad, wait until you meet Jack. Oh boy, this is a dark movie. A man who turns murder into performance art. Hope you're ready for the world's deadliest TED Talk. And this is another warning, this movie is incredibly messed up, so just, you've been warned. The house that Jack built introduces us to the world's most pretentious serial killer. Imagine if your college philosophy professor decided to trade lectures for murder. Jack doesn't just want to kill you, he wants to turn your death into an avant-garde art installation. And trust me, you don't want to see this piece of art. I'd spot the serial killer right away. Sure you would, Sherlock. That's why Jack's out here collecting victims like their Pokemon cards. He's not your typical hiding in the bushes killer. He's the guy who'd correct your grammar while stabbing you. Think American Psycho, but with a PhD in making you regret ever accepting help from a stranger. Here's the thing about Jack. His OCD isn't a weakness, it's his superpower. While you're leaving fingerprints everywhere like a toddler with finger paint, he's turning crime scene cleanup into an Olympic sport. CSI wouldn't find evidence. They'd probably give him a cleaning contract. And just when you think you've got him figured out, he hits you with a lecture about architecture and divine geometry. I'm not joking. You're not just getting murdered, you're getting murdered with the side of existential crisis. It's like having a TED Talk where the big reveal is your own mortality. But the scariest part, Jack's so good at appearing normal that he could probably get hired as a motivational speaker. He's not hiding in the shadows, he's giving presentations about them. He literally has an entire relationship with a family as a kid during this entire movie and turns on them in a whim. Basically, this guy is a metaphor for all the powerful people we have in the limelight in the real world. What if they're actually like this? We don't know. They're that perfect. Basically, your gut instinct isn't going to save you because he's already calculated exactly how to bypass it. Oh, and if you think you're special enough to be the one that gets away, sorry to break it to you, but Jack's got higher standards for his art than my Instagram has for its own selfies. You're not outsmarting someone who turns murder into a multimedia presentation with citations in MLA format. But if a philosophical serial killer sounds rough, wait until you meet Count Orlok, because this Nosferatu is about to make your dating app horror stories look like rom-coms. Finally, we're at the newest horror movie out there. We've got 2024's Nosferatu, where Bill Skarsgård proves that being a centuries-old vampire is basically just toxic dating taking its final form. Count Orlok isn't your sparkly Twilight vampire or your moody interview with the vampire type. He's what happens when you swipe right on someone who's been perfecting the art of being a horrible person since before electricity was invented. Just use garlic and crosses. My dude, this isn't your grandma's Dracula. Orlok, actually it kind of is your grandma's Dracula because it's a remake, but just don't think about it. Orlok's part of the Solomonary. These are ancient black magic users who make your local hot topic witches look like kindergartners with finger paint. He's not just going to hypnotize you. He's going to rewrite reality itself while giving you the worst case of the plague you've ever had. Speaking of which, you know how we all got really good at avoiding diseases during COVID? Yeah, that's cute because Orlok spreads the plague like it's his social media strategy. He's not just killing you, he's killing your whole town. And no amount of fucking essential oils is gonna help you this time, Karen. But here's the real nightmare fuel. Orlok doesn't just lurk in the shadows. He is the shadows. Think you're safe because you bought some fancy motion sensor lights? Congratulations, you just gave him more ways to make shadow puppets with your soul. He's been practicing his craft since before your ancestors figured out which berries wouldn't kill them. And don't even get me started on his ability to shapeshift. At least other movie monsters have the decency to pick one terrifying form and stick with it. Orlok's out there treating his appearance like a Snapchat filter. Is that a cat in your window, or is it an ancient vampire who's about to turn your blood type into his favorite beverage? Start with something that proves even your childhood memories aren't safe, because Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey is about to ruin your teddy bear collection. So you think you can survive Winnie the Pooh gone bad, huh? Well, let me explain why this isn't your average stuffed with fluff situation. Imagine your childhood friend who knows all your hiding spots decided to become a 300-pound murder machine with a honey addiction and daddy issues. Sounds like my ex. Just climb and tree. My brother in Christ. Have you seen a real bear climb? They're basically furry rockets with claws. Now imagine one that's been marinating in abandonment issues for 20 years. Your parkour skills that you learned from YouTube aren't going to save you here. And let's talk about Piglet. You know, the one you thought that was all cute and anxiety ridden? Well, now he's basically a pork themed serial killer who can track you through the woods better than your ex stalking your Instagram. These two aren't just strong. They've got an entire forest mapped out like their personal murder playground. But I just avoid the 100-acre woods. Yeah, good luck with that when these two decide to go mobile. Pooh literally survives getting crushed between two vehicles. Your Toyota Corolla isn't going to help you here, Karen. But the worst part here, they're not just strong, because unlike me, they're fucking smart. While you're out here thinking you're the main character in your own survival story, these two are setting up traps that would make Jigsaw start taking some notes. And unlike your typical slasher villain, they work as a team. It's basically a buddy cop movie, except the buddies want to turn you into human honey, whatever that means. Sure, you might have watched every single season of Bear Grylls, but I promise you he never covered what to do when a childhood icon decides to make you their picnic basket. Your built different energy isn't gonna help when Pooh's out here built like a nightmare factory with legs. But if you think a vengeful Pooh Bear is bad, wait and see what happens when nature decides to let a bear do cocaine. Yeah, we're talking about a lot of bears today because Cocaine Bear is what make your school's DARE program look optimistic. Funny enough, this movie is based on a true story, so he's out there coming for you. Run. Yeah, anyway, a bear just really got inspired by a bunch of Florida Man headlines, and so we have a new movie. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've seen bears at the zoo. I could totally outrun one. Ha! Because my dude, a regular bear can already hit 35 miles per hour. That's a regular one. This one's basically running on supernatural nose candy. Your cardio routine at Planet Fitness isn't preparing you for this Olympic sprinter in a fur coat. So let's break down why you're absolutely fucked here. This isn't just any bear. It's a bear that's discovered enough cocaine to make a Toyota Corolla say maybe slow down. We're talking about a 500-pound apex predator that's now completely immune to pain, paranoid, and experiencing the world's worst case of the munchies. And guess what's on the menu? You! But I just hide somewhere up high. Congratulations, you've just turned yourself into a piñata genius because bears can climb. In fact, they can climb faster than your dating standards dropping at last call. And this one's got enough chemical enhancement to make a 16-year-old roided up teenager blush. The most terrifying part though, this bear chases down a speeding ambulance. Yes, an ambulance. So unless you've been secretly training for the Olympics while looking at YouTube, your I want to survive that energy is about to get a reality check faster than this bear's heart rate. And here's the kicker. Even if you somehow survive the initial encounter, you're dealing with a bear that should have died from heart failure about 3 bags of cocaine ago. The laws of nature don't really apply here anymore. This isn't about survival skills anymore. This is about trying to escape a furry freight train that's experiencing the world's most aggressive sugar rush. But if you think an apex predator on a cocaine binge is terrifying, wait until see what happens when a small town sheriff decides to turn Thanksgiving dinner into a revenge story. Let's talk about John Carver, the serial killer who's going to make your family's passive-aggressive Thanksgiving dinner look like a picnic. Remember that Black Friday sale where you fought someone over a TV? Well, this guy's taking retail revenge to a whole new level. After a Black Friday riot turns deadly, our boy John decides to turn Plymouth into his personal revenge tour. And before you start typing, I just move away, my friend, this man's got more patience than your mom waiting waiting for you to get a real job. He waited an entire year to start his kill streak. That is some dedication. But I just fight back. With what? Your extensive training in watching true crime documentaries? This isn't your average slasher who trips over air. Carver's got the efficiency of an Amazon warehouse worker on performance review day. He turns everyday objects into murder weapons with the creativity of a Pinterest mom who's finally lost it. The scariest part isn't even how he kills, it's how he hunts. While you're out here posting your entire life on Be Real, this man's studying his victims like he's preparing for the SAT of murder. He knows your schedule better than you do, which, let's be honest, isn't that hard based on the conversation I had with your mother last week of you not texting her enough. Come on, man. You gotta text your mom. What are you doing? But anyways, here's the real gravy. He's the sheriff. That's right. The guy you run to for help is the one doing the killing. It's like finding out your Uber driver is actually a car thief. Your brilliant plan to call 911, congratulations. You just scheduled your own appointment with death. Sure, you might think your 3 weeks of self-defense classes from that sketchy gym you went to one time when you were 15 would save you, but this man turns Thanksgiving dinner into a murder weapon. How is that even possible? Watch the damn movie, you'll find out. But yeah, if you think a vengeful sheriff with a turkey obsession is bad, wait until you see what happens when the sun sets in Arcadian, because these creatures make darkness itself your enemy. Fun fact before we talk about Arcadian though, the monsters in this movie were inspired by Goofy. Yes, like Disney's Goofy. This is inspired by this. I don't know. Fun facts with Drew for you. Anyways, these aren't your standard bump in the night monsters. Imagine if natural selection had a mental breakdown and decided to create something that makes your sleep paralysis demons look like Pixar characters. And the worst part, they hunt in packs. Because apparently one nightmare wasn't enough. We gotta have 8. Just stay in the light. Oh my God, man. Have you met the power grid of a failing society? One fallen tree, one blown transformer, or one particularly motivated squirrel, and suddenly your foolproof plan is about as reliable as a New Year's resolution. But here's where things get really fun. These things can burrow. Yeah, that's right. While you're up there playing The Floor is Lava with your flashlight, these creatures are turning the ground into their personal subway system. Your high ground strategy just became their version of DoorDash with you as the main course. But the absolute worst part of this, they're adapting. Remember how you thought you were clever hiding in the basement? Well, congratulations. You just helped them learn about indoor plumbing. These things are basically taking night school in advanced human hunting, and you're the unwilling teaching assistant. Sure, you might think your night vision goggles from Amazon will save you, but unless Jeff Bezos is shipping military-grade bunkers with Prime delivery, you're basically setting yourself up for a very well-lit death scene. At least you'll see it coming in crisp, green-tinted 4K. Also, Nicolas Cage is in this movie, so you're f***ed. But anyways, these monsters are the least of your worries, because it's time to explain why that weird noise in your wall isn't just your neighbors doing questionable things at 3 a.m. They're f***ing. That's probably what's happening. Cobweb takes your childhood fear of monsters in the walls and says, hey, remember that fear? Well, guess what? It was right all along. And this time it's coming with a side of family trauma that makes your therapy sessions look like a tea party. Meet Sarah, your not so friendly wall demon sister, who's basically what happens when sibling rivalry goes full supernatural. You think your sister stealing your clothes is bad? Try having one who can bend like a human pretzel and has a murder playlist that would make Spotify's algorithm have an existential crisis. Just move out. Oh my God. With these housing prices, have you seen housing prices these days? We are screwed. If you were under the age of 30, I just want to tell you right now, we're all fucked. There is no hope for society. We will live in basements forever. It's sad. Anyways, my friend, you're not just trapped at the wall-crawling demon sister. You're trapped in a mortgage that makes the haunting look like the second scariest thing about home ownership. Besides, Sarah's got squatter's rights from hell here, and she's not interested in your eviction notice. The real nightmare fuel of this movie, Sarah doesn't just want to kill you. She wants to play the world's worst game of family reunion first. She's got superhuman strength, can climb faster than your credit card debt, and has mastered the art of psychological warfare better than your ex during the breakup of 1997. And here's the kicker. She's manipulative. While you're out here thinking you can outsmart her with your true crime podcast knowledge, she's won your child over to her side to help her kill you. But don't worry, because I'm here to tell you that having a murderous sister in your walls is terrifying, but it's not as terrifying about why your kid's imaginary friend might actually be your other dead sister, who's a ghost who's coming for a family reunion. Run, Rabbit, Run isn't your typical creepy kid movie. It's what happens when your ancestry DNA test comes back haunted. Imagine your daughter suddenly starts claiming she's your dead sister and knows things she couldn't possibly know about. And I'm not talking about finding the secret things that you keep in your drawer. I know what's in in there. I know. We're talking about detailed childhood memories that make your Facebook on this day notifications look less amateur. Just get therapy, SpongeBob. My dude, do you think your insurance covers my daughter's been possessed by my dead sister's ghost? No, that's not in the DSM-5. That's not even in the horror movie handbook. Your copay isn't equipped for this level of family drama. The real terror here isn't just the possession. It's the way it slowly dismantles your sanity. While you're trying to figure out if you're dealing with a ghost or a mental breakdown or just really aggressive genetic memory, your daughter's over here playing guess which sibling I am today with your childhood trauma. And here's where it gets really fun. You can't even trust your own memories anymore. The ghost isn't just haunting your house, it's haunting your entire family history, like that one relative who keeps bringing up embarrassing stories at every holiday dinner. Except these stories end in psychological destruction. Also, why do family members think they need to do that? What happened was 15 years ago. I'm sorry you are still living on your mother's credit card at 32. I can't do anything about that, but why do you gotta bring up the past? Sure, you might think those parenting books you bought prepared you for difficult conversations with your future children, but I don't think what to expect when your daughter's expecting to be your dead sister was in the chapter list. Your gentle parenting techniques aren't exactly designed for exercising family ghosts. But honestly, this isn't that bad because it's time to talk about the horror movie that makes every other horror film look like a Disney Channel original. The dark and the wicked isn't just horror. It's what happens when evil itself decides your family's emotional trauma isn't spicy enough and decides to add hypothetical ghost peppers to the mix. You've got your typical setup: isolated farm, dying father, estranged siblings coming home. Sounds like the start of every Hallmark movie ever, right? Wrong. This is what happens when Satan watches your family therapy sessions and thinks needs more psychological destruction. Just pray it away, my brother in Christ. Literally, this entity makes your local priest look like an intern at their first day of work. When the religious professionals are getting bodied faster than your New Year's resolutions, your cross necklace from Claire's isn't going to cut it. The real nightmare though, this thing doesn't just kill you. It makes you yourself. I can't say that word because of YouTube, but you get the idea. While you're out here thinking you're mentally tough because you can handle Twitter comments, this entity's playing 5D chess with your sanity. It's basically gaslighting the demon edition, and it's got a PhD in making you lose your mind. And here's the part that makes this absolutely unsurvivable. It doesn't matter how strong your family bonds are. You know how horror movies usually end with the power of love saving the day? Yeah, this entity uses your love as a weapon. It's like if your toxic ex got supernatural powers and decided to trauma bond with your entire family. Sure, you might think your weekly Headspace app subscription has prepared you for mental challenges, but unless Headspace has a surviving supernatural psychological warfare playlist, you might want to adjust your expectations. Also, Headspace, if you're watching this, hit me up, business opportunity. We can make that a thing. Anyways, this isn't the kind of negative energy you can just sage away. But if you're still thinking you're built different after these 7 horror movies, then I invite you to explain exactly how you would beat every single one of these horror movies in the comments below. And if you like the video and also subscribe, I'll respond why you're absolutely getting wrecked. And if you need more horror movies that would absolutely wreck you, click the video on screen right now.